Whatever we do has a karmic reaction. So the karmic reaction binds us. If we do bad, we are bound in the sin. If we do good, we are bound in the punya. Vikarma and karma both are binding. Dharma and adharma both are binding. What releases us from this is karma, the karma yoga. Shree Krishna tells Arjuna the karma yogi does his karma but without attachment, because he is working in the platform of knowledge that karma is not binding him. The example of King Janak etc. is given. He was doing all his karmas, he was a king, and yet his actions were not binding him because he was in yoga, his mind was united with God. So that union based upon knowledge frees you from the bondage of karma.
Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 4, verse chanting is followed by translation and commentary by Swami Mukundananda.
yogasanyasta karmāṇaṁ jnāna samchhinna samshayam atmavantam na karmāṇi nibadhnanti dhananjaya.
O Arjun, actions do not bind those who have renounced karm in the fire of yoga, whose doubts have been dispelled by knowledge, and who are situated in the knowledge of the self. So Shree Krishna is now again saying that Arjuna, that person who is seated by virtue of this knowledge in the self, he is become atmavantam. In other words, seated in the self. I am not the body, not the mind, not the intellect. I am the eternal soul. And whose doubts have been dispelled by the torchlight of knowledge. That person will work in the world, but the work will not bind him. Now, what does it mean, work binding him? Binding him means in the law of karma. Whatever we do has a karmic reaction. So the karmic reaction binds us. If we do bad, we are bound in the sin. If we do good, we are bound in the punya. If you do good, you will have to go to Swarga. So you get bound in that as well. So both vikarma and karma both are binding. Dharma and adharma both are binding. What releases us from this is karma, the karma yoga. That is why the riddle of the Bhagavad Gita is, Shree Krishna tells Arjuna that, listen, you fight the war. Arjuna says, Shree Krishna, if I don't fight, what will happen? Shree Krishna says, you will go to hell. Why? Because you are a kshatriya. Your duty is to fight. You do your duty. If you don't do your duty, it's a dereliction of duty. It's rejection of dharma. That is adharma. And adharma will lead you to hell. So you will go to hell. Arjun says, all right, Maharaj, if I don't do my duty, if I run away from this battlefield, I will go to hell. Now the second part, if I do my duty, what will happen? If I fight the war, then what will I get? Shree Krishna says, Arjun, there can be two possibilities. Hatova prapsyasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim. If you get killed on the battlefield, the Kshatriya Dharma says that you died doing your duty, you will go to Swarg, heaven. And if you don't get killed, you win the war, then you will become king of Hastinapur. So in fighting the battle, you have laddus in both hands. If you lose, you go to heaven. If you win, you become king. Now Arjun, isn't that very tempting? Arjun says, Maharaj, but is there any happiness in heaven? Shree Krishna says, Arjun, absolutely not. Tetam bhuktva swarga lokam vishalam kshine punya martya lokam vishanti. When your punya is depleted, you will come back. When I come back from heaven, will I become Arjun again? Not at all. Hinataram, you can become a dog, a cat, an animal, a plant. My God, this Swarg, heaven is not a very wonderful thing, my Lord. I am not interested in going there. You please go there. So this heaven, this laddu is poisonous. And by being a king also, you don't get the divine bliss of the soul that I have experienced. I have been king of Indraprasth before the exile. That laddu is also useless. So why are you praising this? In that case, my Lord, I am terribly stuck. There are two options. Either I fight or I don't fight. If I don't fight, you say it's dereliction of duty and I will go to hell. If I fight, I will either get heaven or the worldly kingdom, both useless. What do I do? If I do dharma, I am stuck. If I do adharma, I am stuck. The Shree Krishna says, Arjun, that is why sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraj. You give up both dharma and adharma and learn to surrender to me. This is paradharma, divine dharma, surrendering to God. So doing good things is material dharma. Learning to love God is spiritual dharma. So material dharma and material adharma both are binding. One will take us to Swarg, one will take us to Narak. But when we surrender to God, we cut through these bonds of karma. We are released from them. So Shree Krishna says, that person who is seated in this knowledge, who is Atmavant, he will work, but he will not be bound. See, the enlightened soul has two options. Either to do karma sanyās or to do karma yoga. Karma sannyasi say, I will not do karma, forget it. I will just do my bhajan. But not everybody can be karma sannyasi. So the other option is karma yoga. The karma yogi does his karma, but without attachment. So because he is working in the platform of knowledge, that karma is not binding him. So that karma yoga, the example of King Janak, etc. is given. Somebody was asking me yesterday that, Swamiji, what about King Janak? I said his example is given as the ideal karma yogi. He was doing all his karmas. He was a king. And yet his actions were not binding him because he was In yoga, his mind was united with God. So that union based upon knowledge frees you from the bondage of karma.